Welcome back to Mentorship Mondays with Michelle and Maren. You are here with us, whether you're here on YouTube land or on the podcast land. You're here with us to talk about all things spiritual, all things metaphysical, our stories, our mama magic with one foot in the grocery store lane and one foot in the etheric world. Hi, Maren. It's been a little bit. We're right into the summer. How you doing?
I'm good. We are like so busy, but other than
Yeah,
that, I'm really good. What about you?
good. We just so in Canada, school is a little bit later. So we're out. We just got out for the end of June, which we're at. We just
Wow.
started summer a couple days ago.
When did that go
So
in? You went
September
after.
after Labor Day. Yeah. Yeah. So we have it was very hot here. I'm sure it was for you guys too. You had some real hot weather.
Yes.
Yeah.
So get it.
Yeah.
Heat
Yeah.
wave. It was so
Yes.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think our weather is probably not too far from what yours is. It's not too far off, but we had, yeah, it was a heck of a heat wave for a few days there. And it's
Mhm.
quite a bit nicer now. It's not quite as bad. But yeah, so it's been there's been so much that has happened. I know for me, I've just been writing and my website. I announced the 21st that my new services and everything were going up, and I kept editing and changing a few things. So if anybody's wondering, yes, I've got a beautiful, wonderful woman that is working on it, and it's me because I keep changing and slowing things down. So the changes will come soon. So if you see it on there and see that it's going to change, it could be any moment now. But it'll
Yeah.
change. It'll change soon. And yeah, and my book, I'm looking to have the first one out of the library. The Sacred Mess, The Becoming of the I Am, is going to come out in October. So I'm really, really excited about that to
Oh
share
my
that
God.
with everybody. Yeah.
That is so exciting. Where will we be able to find that? Do we get it on your website or on Amazon or how do we find that?
There'll be a link on my website and on Amazon as well. And so I'm getting really close to compiling it all for the final manuscript, and then it will be off to the races from that point. And I have some people to help me, and I'm so glad that I do because I don't know when it comes to the technical stuff. It's there's a lot of trust there. So fingers crossed. I have I have high hopes and faith that it will all flow through, and I'm hoping that I'll be launching it for my 50th birthday in October. Yeah. Yeah.
Love that.
Yes. Yeah, half a century.
That is a birthday present for sure.
Yes. Yeah. It's a
Wow.
big milestone. It's a big
Yeah.
milestone and definitely a really big personal celebration, you know,
Yeah.
for yeah, so that's what I've been doing, and of course it's summer and we've got family things planned and that, and you guys too. So you've already been into your summer for quite a bit.
Or- Yeah.
Yeah. And so what are you doing? You're traveling.
It is traveling and sports. And it's like we go travel and then do a sports tournament and then travel and then do a sports tournament. And it's just, it's so awesome to be able to spend time with my kids. Even
Mhm.
my little guy today said, I don't want to go back. He goes, I wish I was one of those kids that loved school, but I'm not because I don't get to see you. He's like, I spend more time with my teachers during school than I spend with you. And I'm like, I know, so true. And
Yeah.
I'm just cherishing every moment this summer with them. And
Yeah.
we're doing so many fun things and that good quality time in. So
Yeah.
it's wonderful. It's
Yeah.
really wonderful.
Things change. We are changing quickly A lot is changing around us. The world is shifting. Um, many people that I connect with have spoke to me about different points of their life that they had no idea was going to come the way that it has. And we were talking a little bit about this before we recorded, about being in that space where we've talked about like one foot in one world, one foot in the other, in that little bit of an in between space. But what's interesting is the, we'll say, the veil of between us, the spirit world, is very thin. It's very thin. And so many of us are experiencing things that are so far beyond what we could imagine. Signs, synchronicities, communication. And it's really amazing to talk to different people and to see them in a space on their journey where they're really, I want to call it, their feet are on the ground. They're really into where they are, and that doesn't mean that we all know where we're going, or exactly everything. It's just seeing people really in their sense of self a little more than maybe they've ever been. And sometimes it's just seeing a little more peace. I know I have felt a lot more peace in this last little while. And as I say that, and this is what we were talking about, many people have, and these are the questions that come forward. I know where I've been. I know I've done a lot of healing. I know where I've been. I think I know where I am right now and what I want. I'm getting creative downloads. I'm getting all of this information. I'm getting everything coming in, and I feel like I'm running out of time, or I'm not sure. I think I know where I want to go. I know what I want, but I don't know how to get from this point to what it is that I want. And, that's a whole topic in itself, really, that we could go into and talk about. But let's back up for just a second and talk about some of these signs, because I don't know about you, but it is like some days it is just crazy how many signs and how many pings from the universe are coming in left and
Oh,
right.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have so much to say about everything you just said. So I have the coolest sign story that I experienced this week.
Mm-hmm.
I have a family member who is kind of going through a tough time, and they were like, "Hey, like, see what you can get for me." So it's like, okay. So I took the time and I did some automatic writing, and then I was kind of like, "Oh, do I send this? Do I not send this?" Like, like you kind of get
Yeah.
unsure.
Yeah.
And so I put it into I was like reading what I wrote. And there were like, I don't know if this happens to you too, but like you'll write a sentence, but there's so much more that comes in with that
Mm-hmm.
sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Like they say like a sentence and it might not mean a lot, but like it's very like short, but you got the whole picture like through a
Yes.
visual or like just like an instant like understanding, and it's so quick.
Yes.
But when you're automatic writing, you just write that sentence, but like
Yes.
that sentence triggers this whole other like thought
Yes.
process in
Yep.
your writing, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm like reading this, I was like, oh, wow, this is perfect. I'll just like voice to text, read it, and like put
Mm-hmm.
it in a text. And then I was like, well, it's kind of choppy because it was not choppy, but there's just some sentences that there's like such a bigger concept that was like
Yes.
shown to me as I wrote it. So I was
Yes.
like, you know what I'll do? I'll put it in Chat GTP.
Yeah.
It's not awake yet. So I was like, but I like to help me like explain these concepts a little
Yeah.
bit more, like what I was seeing while I wrote like the sentence.
Yep.
So I spent a really long time making sure that ChatGTP could like articulate exactly what I was like seeing. It took a lot of
Mhm.
like, well, that was a little too far this
Mhm.
way. Like, let's bring it back here. Like, that was a little too
Yep.
normal. Let's make it a little more
Yep.
metaphysical, like
Yeah.
fixing it up. And um, and then I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to send it. And then I was like, ooh, like I don't know how I feel because like now I've kind of like doctored up the automatic writing and that kind of makes me feel uncomfortable because I do really trust like what spirit brought in, and I'm like, is this still like truth to what they were saying and like
Mhm.
it should I still send it? And so I was like, okay, here's what I want. If I am supposed to send this, show me a dime. And if I need to change this, like this isn't right, or I like go need to go back to like my regular or need to wait or whatever, show me a nickel. And then if I shouldn't send this, like I'm giving you a week, just don't let me find any of that. And so I was like, okay. And I got like really nervous because, I worked so hard. I was like, God, if I see nothing, I'm going to be so upset because I literally spent like probably 3 hours of my life that I really don't have to like spend on this. So I was like, oh, like hopefully. Anyways, the next day I was doing laundry and like it was like the weirdest thing. It was like the dryer like spit it out from underneath the dryer. It was a nickel and it was like all scratched and old. And my husband was like, "Great, was that what was making all that noise in the dryer?" I'm like, "I don't know, maybe, but it was a nickel." And so I was like, "Okay, it's not complete yet. Like there's
Yeah.
more that I need to send."
Yeah.
And I got like one other like little download when I was like thinking about it, and I was like, okay, I'll add that to it. And then I was like really planning on like going back and changing more, but I didn't have time. And I really forgot about it. We went on a trip, came back from the trip, and then a neighbor, um, I was doing carpool, and one of the little boys that I was doing carpool with, he lost his water bottle. And so the neighbor was like, "Hey, can you look and see if the water bottle's in your car?" And I had recently just gotten my whole car cleaned after the road trip. So
Mhm. Mhm.
there wasn't much junk or the possibility of being much junk in my car. And I like pull the seat forward. There's nothing in my car except for a dime. And I'm like, dime? That's a really random dime. Like, is it time? Is it ready to be sent? I was like, but I didn't really like change anything to it. And then I was like, okay, well, if like you're gonna have to give me more than this. Like this is not enough to make me feel confident to like send this message.
Mhm.
And so then the very next day, my son was like, Mom, look at this dime I found. And then he dropped it accidentally, but it like fell on him and slid like all the way down his body and landed in the middle of his pant leg. Like I was like, that is so odd that this dialing would be so like, it was just so grandiose in its like
Mhm.
presentation. You know what I mean?
So you can't miss it.
And I was like, okay, that's a little bit better. That's a little
Yeah.
bit better. Like maybe I do need to send this. And I was still like, I just don't know though. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask Michelle. What else? Yes, just ask Michelle, you know? And so anyways, it's just the next time I see her, I'll just ask her, like, hey, I saw these two dimes, like, should I be sending this? But literally later that afternoon,
Yeah.
I was at the pool and I like was time to go. So I walked over to get my son out and I was like holding the towel, like, you need to come out. And I looked down and right where I stopped to stand to get him out, there was a dime. And so then I was like, do I still ask Michelle? Like, is this enough? And then I was like, I'm just sending this. Like, if I do not trust spirit after sending me 3 dimes in literally less than 24 hours,
Yeah.
something's wrong with me. So I need to trust spirit. I need to send this off. And so I sent it off and I heard nothing. But I was really kind of okay. Like I was like, you know what? I'm this is not about me and what I wrote. This is literally an exercise in like trusting spirit and trusting the signs that you get.
Yes. Yes.
And and so I just kind of like didn't say anything. And then maybe like a day later or a day and a half to 2 days later, I finally heard from my family member and they were like, I got your message. It was really good. Like it's, it's everything that my therapist has been saying. And so I'll have to read it again, but thank you. And so I was like, okay, like I was so worried that they would like disown me or like be like, oh, that's Maren and her stupid like
Yeah.
metaphysical stuff or like, whatever. And they seemed really okay with it. So I got to
That's
trust
good.
spirit and those signs. And I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's been so long since I got those really hardcore signs. So it felt really good. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I suggest if you don't know like where to go or how to get there, you can always just throw out those signs and just be
Yeah.
ready to follow,
Absolutely.
right? So I was like, if I do this and I don't follow through, like, are they
Yes.
really going to send me more signs next time? So I
Right.
need to let them know I'm following their system
Yeah.
and that this is what I see from their system, right?
And that's exactly right because ultimately we're trusting ourselves. We're trusting ourselves and trusting in spirit because we're not working for them, we're working with them. And this is a co-creation. It is a walk with spirit with the highest intention, meaning that learning to trust ourselves is also asking, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? What is driving me to do this? So, in a situation like that, it's for a family member and like, what's the reason why it's happening? And this is how deep and refined we want to get with our questions. Am I doing this because I feel I need to prove something to somebody? Am I doing this because I know there's something here that can help? And is it also okay that I'm practicing with it and that yes, of course, all of those things. But whenever we question ourselves, and this is really important too, because it can take a while to work through the stages of feeling like spirit can't be trusted. And I say this because I actually spoke to somebody not that long ago that was going through a very challenging time and felt like spirit was leading them around and like they couldn't trust. And the truth is that it's trust that they are working on in everything in their life. And so spirit is never trying to trick us or mislead us or anything like that, but to build deeper communication is to learn to trust ourselves, to trust why we are doing what we're doing, to match our intentions. Are we, do we know why we're doing it? Are we doing it out of obligation? Are we doing it because we're trying to, and I say this with, is it something we're trying to receive? Because everything we do always has some sort of a need that comes back to us, but that doesn't mean it's manipulative or malicious. There's nothing wrong with feeling good about sending something to somebody and getting a reply back. There's nothing wrong with that. But in taking what happened to you, it's such a great example of how that trust and that communication and that integrity and everything is so important because of course they're going to give you the signs because you asked. And you're not asking out of desperation. You're not asking out of prove it to me. You're asking because you want to be sure that what you're sending is really for the good for this person. That it's really going to do what it needs to do. There's a fine difference energetically between what you did there and when somebody is testing, are you real? Because when that energy is present, that's a process. Because that's a process for us to go through as human beings, to trust ourselves, have confidence in ourselves, and then to start really seeing how that bridges with spirit communication. So that was not mistrust in you or mistrust in spirit. That was you making sure that what you were doing was going to help this person, was going to offer them what they need. And you did that, and they were happy to show up and keep showing you yes, yes, and to show you that. And it did land. And even when words are not heard, maybe in a certain way in the beginning, they either validate or confirm or start to unfold something else. And so that's really amazing too, because you also, you let that sit after your channeling. You let that sit and ruminate before you sent it. You didn't just send it right away to get it off and out the door. You let it sit and questioned. That's good.
Yeah. And then when I did see the dimes, you know, I was still like, the day that I saw all of them, I went to bed that night and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
still contemplating, like, do I send it? Do I not send it? Do I send it? Do I not send it? And then I was like, I just saw three dimes in less than 24 hours. I didn't see any dimes at any time before. And I've seen three in 24 hours. And I was like, there must be some kind of urgency of why I'm getting these all like right now. It's like, now is
Yeah.
the time. Now is the
Yeah.
time to send, right? And
Yeah.
so I got up, literally, I literally was laying in bed, got up out of bed, sent it in the middle of the
Yeah.
night and or very late at night. I sent it
Yeah.
because I was like, I think that I'm supposed to send it like right now. And that's why I'm seeing so many in a row. And
Yeah.
then literally I saw them the next day and they didn't talk about it, but they were like, yesterday was the worst day. And I had just a really awful day and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, what? There was a reason why I was supposed to send it that day. Like it was very
Yeah.
specific to that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And again, they didn't mention anything. And I was like, whatever, I'm not like going to push my thing because that's like, yes, I want to know, but I don't want to like, you know, just it's there and I'm not going to talk about it. And then it was like a whole nother day before they were like, I read it. It was great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there was like a significance in the timing. So I got it.
Yeah.
I
No,
did
that's
it.
really good. That's really good. Yes. Yes, pat on the back. That's good because those are when we trust and we trust ourselves and we're like, okay, yes, I get it. Let's do it now. Having that, hearing that back from your loved one saying that was a really hard day and having that validation of, yeah, I knew that. I knew that was the right moment to send it. And those are the types of things that happen when we do trust. And the process of going through and just kind of checking those, you know, I say check it like it's like check marking the due diligence. Like, is this in alignment? Is this, going through all of those things, they become second nature. Because the more you do it, it's part of, you don't even think about it. You just know. You know the feelings, you know when to move. And that's that part of that flow. And I think that's really important for everybody to remember that this is a beautiful exploration of trusting ourselves. And by doing that, we open up these great big channels of how spirit can show us what we need to see and help us and walk with us through it, because they're never really walking ahead of us. They're walking right with us and holding lights on the way. So, I was saying to you, Maren, too, just before I had these experiences. I had a couple days in the last month, actually a couple weeks ago. I went to go get flowers with my mom. We were getting some flowers for the garden and whatnot. And there's this one place that we go to that always has these fresh cut peonies. And I love these pastel-y pink peonies. They are my favorite. And when I was a kid, my mom had a peonies bush in the back of our house, across the whole back. It was really big. And when I was about 4 years old, I had this little wagon and she was working in the backyard and I was kind of walking behind her and I took the scissors and I cut all the peonies off of her bush. Took every last one and put them in my wagon. I remember that day very clearly. I remember my mom's face too, like, you cut them all off. But they've always
Oh,
been my favorite.
speak.
Yes, yes, yeah. Some
Okay.
of them weren't fully bloomed yet either, so, you know. But anyway, I've always loved them. I've always loved them. And when we go to this particular nursery, they have these really beautiful old mason jars and they do them all up in nice bouquets. And they didn't have any. And I thought, oh, maybe they're sold out. We got here a little late in the season this year, so that's okay. And so we stopped at the grocery store afterwards to pick up a few things. We walk in, and mind you, this is not my normal grocery store, but this is not one that would carry peonies at all. Okay, like it's not that type of store. I walk in, and there is a sea of peonies, like everywhere, all in pastel pink. There was maybe one in hot pink. And I just looked at my mom and I'm like, well, I guess that's why we stopped at this store. So of course, yes. So I got
And
got my peonies that day, and then when we were walking out, it was really warm that day, and it was starting to rain. And in Canada, we have most of our grocery stores. We have either we have to put a quarter or a loonie in the carts so that we return them back to where they came from. So this particular grocery store, the way that it was set up was the cart return was there was like an island, like a median, and the cart return was over on the other side, and it was already starting to rain. I had my cart, my mom's cart, and I'm getting her all loaded up in the vehicle, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, geez, I wish the cart return wasn't way over there in the rain, but I'm like, well, whatever. It's just thinking this, okay? No sooner did I finish the thought out of my head, this van pulls up beside us, opens the door. This woman gets out and she says, Mary Jane, do you need a cart? Well, that's my mom's name. Okay. So these people we don't know, obviously. And then she turns and looks, makes eye contact with me and says, here, I've got a couple loonies. Can we take your cart for you? Take your carts? I'm like, why, yes, you can. Thank you very much. And my mom is just that I told her when we got in because I never said it out loud, but I told her in my head, and she's just like, it's crazy. But these are the types of things that this is how flexible our reality is. It is truly.
I don't know when the image and the feeling you got when you saw those peonies is like, I got you. Like the universe has
Yeah.
got you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
Yes. And that's
just
how it
a
feels.
sigh
Yes.
of relief. Like I got
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And it's a great deal of peace. It is a great deal
Mhm.
of peace. And what was always taught to me is this, because it wasn't always that way. It wasn't always, I went for a very long time where, yes, I would have signs and validations, but sometimes they'd be few and far between. And something that they shared with me about flexibility in the universe and our coherence and just how we move through our journey in different stages, they reminded me and said, Michelle, you trusted at a time where you weren't given proof of what you trusted in. You trusted in what you felt, and you continued to walk a path that nobody else could see, that nobody else around you could see, but we could. The universe saw. The field saw. Spirit saw. And that's something that I always knew. And, even looking back, I think there were many times where I wanted to quit or said that I'm done. I can't keep doing this. It's too hard. I feel too ostracized. I feel, nobody understands me. I feel misunderstood. But when it would always come back to it, So if I had to have a pity party, or I had to go through a period of, you know, whipping everything off my metaphysical table, saying, I'm done, I'm not doing it anymore. But I would always come back to, this is the only way for me. This is the way. And so when those moments happen like that, especially today, it's very peaceful and very comforting because it reminds me of where I was, and not in a way of sadness or anything, but in a way of deep appreciation, in a way to be able to say, like, we're okay, we're good, we're all good. And that's for everyone. And that's why these sessions are so important that you and I do, Maren, and share with everybody, because this isn't a for one person or another. If you're here and you're watching, this is for all of us. This is what is within all of us. This is the way things really are. And when we open up and we continue to walk with that faith, and sometimes that faith shakes, and that's okay. But when we continue to do that and we ask for those dimes and we trust what's in our heart and we walk forward, even at the risk that maybe on the other side it wouldn't land. Or maybe it would come back like, oh, Maren, you and your metaphysical stuff. But you trust anyway. But you do it anyway because you know you did your best and you know it was the right thing to do. And you did it. That's right there, the energy that expands everything. That's where the trust comes in, and that's where spirit meets you. The universe meets you in ways that are beyond any physical understanding. That's where the peace comes from. Yeah.
Yeah. Does.
Yeah.
When I think I used to be like so much more in my head or so much more about judgment, but then just like trusting that my intentions are right and they're the right reasons, and for definitely for selfless reasons,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and then to like put the extra precautions in for the signs. It does help you, you know,
Yeah.
lead a
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
and pave a path, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, there's lots of interesting things happening. And then just to kind of touch upon what we were saying about manifestation, you know, this is truly and honestly, when we're going from one point to the next, when we are bringing something into our reality, when there is something maybe we've got the engine started, we know what we want to do, but we just don't know how. It's really bringing it right back to what's within my control. Where's my intention? What's the why of what I'm doing? Because the internal shifts, the internal beliefs, the internal choices that we make, whether we think that they're seen or not, it's not so much the physical actions that we do as the internal choices that we make that drive the momentum and the change. Because everything happens internally before it is reflected externally. Always. So, if you're going through a place of, oh, it's not going to happen, and you have to remember, if there's something that you are doing that you know that you feel that passion for or that excitement for, that's because it is for you. But the part where we have to remind ourselves to keep it loose is we have to remember that we're not always going to know all the hows. But when we do need to know, we'll know. And that's where that trust comes. It's like, what if I miss it? What if I miss the door? Or what if I don't see it and I don't get the sign and then it goes to somebody else? You can't walk in that energy, because in that energy in itself is a place of lack, and that will have you cycle. in the same thing.
There's also many paths to the same
Hmm.
place, right? So
Yes.
like
Oh,
if you
yes.
miss one door, like there's going to be another or a different way to
Yes.
get here. You know, it's like walking
Yes.
through the woods to get to the house or whatever. It's like you can go this way, you know, like you can do
Yeah.
anything to get to the house. You just got to get to the
Yes.
house. So don't
That's right.
overthink all the little steps.
That's right. That's right.
But I had
Yeah.
a really interesting thing happen to me, or Spirit said, you know, whatever, gave me a little advice this week as well. So um, I made an Instagram post, and I love making Instagram posts, but I hate it. I've stopped doing it at the same time because it just takes so long. Like I'll get this really good idea in my head about like the way I want it to look, and then the way the music's going to sound, and the thought, and the like energy that you feel when you read it, and you know, like all those things will be in my head, and then trying to put that like physically into the Instagram post is so different. I am just like you. I'm not a tech person. I mess it up like 200 times. I have to start over and edit things wrong. I mean, it's just awful. So anyway, so this week I wrote a post, and it took me about like 2 hours to do, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And but it turned out really good. I really like it.
Uh-huh.
And I started a new if anybody wants to follow. I'm really obviously into like mindfulness and meditation, and I feel like that aligns sometimes more than like my making of medium page. Sorry, this is a huge side note. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
My making of a medium page is more like about like obviously mediumship, but what we
Yeah.
talk about is there's like a lot of like spirituality and like
Yes.
mindfulness, and I'm obviously very passionate about that. So I made a making life mindful Instagram page. I have like 2 followers. I just do it because I love it, not because I'm looking for followers. But if you'd like to follow or get some inspiration or see that one post that took me 2 hours, please follow me. um, Making life mindful.
Making life
And because I
mindful.
have
Okay.
making of a medium, so I was like, I got to do making. So making life mindful. But anyways,
Love
so
it.
afterwards, I was like, God, that just took forever. Like, I can't believe it took forever. And Spirit was like, that's how manifestation works. You have a thought in your mind of what you want, and it takes time for it to get into the physical. And that's just one thought, one Instagram post. So imagine when you're trying to transform your life or do anything big, it's gonna take time. And so
Yeah.
don't be discouraged. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know, that just like hit me because there was
Yeah.
something about the small little, like I had literally in an instant this idea to put out there, and somehow it took me 2 hours to do it. So, you know, if it's like that for a post, then imagine what it's like in life.
That's
So
right.
don't be
And
discouraged.
and that, that comes in line with, think of how many times we hear the it's not the destination, it's the journey. Well, that's the truth. It is the journey. It's the discovery of what it is that we learn and experience along the way. And so, if we can, because here's the thing, no matter how much we jump into the future to want to understand things or make things happen or skip steps, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, getting real comfortable with, I'm going to enjoy this unfolding of what I'm learning, and I'm going to go through this process. That's what's going to speed things up. That's what's going to bring things together. But you're exactly right. When we forget that we're in the physical. We are physical. And so there is a component here. Things have to come through from up here, from the inspiration, from the ideas, from the creativity, from spirit. And yes, there's lots of things that happen in ways that we don't understand fully, but there's lots of things that it's a beauty in unfolding, especially with the tech stuff, because I think about how many things that I have learned just in the past 5 years, even that I've learned in being able to write, or when I worked with the Channeling Eric blog, all of those things that I learned and how much it helped me later on. So, there's always a learning curve and a process, but that is the mechanics of how things come into the physical too, which we could do another show and really get down to the physics of what happens, to the science of what happens as things go through that process, because then we start getting into the quantum field and everything else, and that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of good stuff there, because that's what we do, is we manifest from the quantum field.
Yeah.
And then we get into some really interesting things.
Yeah. Yeah. The
So,
quantum field, I feel like really explains so much more. I don't know. We'll have to do like a whole series on that
yeah,
because
yeah. We'll
so
have to break that one down because it's
yeah.
got a lot of, it can be complex. And
Mhm.
so we'll have to ask for a little help to really help us get into the meat and potatoes of it and understand exactly what's going on. And I don't know about you, but that is where I nerd out big time.
Well, I love science, so
Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
know the science of how this all happens because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not fake, that's for sure.
yeah.
There's
That's right.
you know, real stuff.
And that's
Well,
what we're
Michelle,
here to do. We're here to give the real deal.
the real deal.
The real deal.
It has been so lovely chatting with you.
Yes, it
You,
has.
um,
Same.
feel like I haven't seen you in forever, and
I know.
you're just so cheery and happy and just full of love. Like I don't
Full
know.
of love, full of life, full of, yeah. I'm full of something. That's true. I
I just want to
am.
squeeze you, and like
Thank
I
you.
just think hearts are gonna come out.
Yeah, it's true. They're gonna come out of my eyes and my ears, and yeah, it's true. I'm just so full of it. Anyway, well, we will be back again for next week, and I guess that's, oh, one thing I will add for everybody, for everyone that's ordered blueprints. So they're well underway, and I haven't been booking them too far in advance to make sure, because the ones, and if the blueprint order is still up, because there is changing, if you're ordering and it still says that you get a 60-minute session with me with it, then it's still on. But it's going to change over to different parameters with it, and the 60-minute session will not be included with that. So if you're booking now, you will still have that. If you've already booked it and you haven't heard from me from it with a date to meet, you will soon, because I'm booking them in order of how they came in, and I'm really following the alignment of them with timing. So I try not to go too far into advance, because I'm also weaving them into regular schedules and everything too. So I don't want to cram everybody up too tight, and want to give everybody the same amount of love and appreciation when we do these sessions. So if you haven't heard from me, and you're concerned, of course, feel free and reach out. But just know that I have everybody down here. We're working our way through it. And oh my God, the blueprints have been amazing. They have been amazing. Really, really amazing. The stuff that has come out. And I've met a lot of people that I've never met before. This is the first time meeting them. And it's been really interesting how deep and how fascinating a lot of it is. So if you haven't ordered it, check it out. And if you have, I will be in touch with you soon if I haven't already seen you. And that's that. I guess that's it for another Mentorship Monday.
Thank you, everyone, and we will see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Be happy, be well. Notice that my name says Mishi. Don't know how that happened, but love you guys. See you
Right.
later.
Yeah.